Okay, we'll move on. You have a copy of the agenda.
I'm sorry. Can you
Yes.
tell me who put that motion in?
John. And I'm sorry, I didn't call that out. So who did second that? Charlie Thompson, okay. Just take your time, we're good. Okay. Okay, so you have a copy of the agenda, board members. Ask you to approve the agenda. Are there any changes?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Trammell, second by John Bryant. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the May minutes, and Vicki, I appreciate you Vicki, I appreciate you getting those minutes together for us right after the meeting and getting us up to speed. It looks like we'll be able to move a lot faster going forward with that. So board members, you have a copy of the minutes. You'll look through those and see if there's any discrepancies there or anything that you think might need to be added or deleted.
Chairman, I'm as far as I can see everything.
Okay, Mr. Bryan, is that a motion?
Second.
We have a motion, Mr. Bryant, and a second by Mr. Trammell. Is any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any
I
opposed?
abstain.
And Joan Nano abstains.
I haven't had a chance to go over them.
Okay, well, we appreciate that. Thank you. All right, we will move on to Secretary's report, and we really don't have a Secretary's report. We don't have a secretary. So actually, Vicki, serving as treasurer, has been helping the board quite a bit in secretarial duties going forward, helping us get caught up on some of the secretarial matters. She working along with Vonda and Terry. All three have picked up the slack there, and it's greatly appreciated by the board. Thank you all for that. So we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Vicki, I know you've got a pretty long report, so I'll leave it with you.
Okay, I handed out to the board two things. One is the P&L that our new bookkeeper, Carol Strickland, put together. It's January through May, and it just shows you currently through May our profit and loss statement. And then the second handout that I gave you are each individual pages, because nothing is posted on the website since December of last year. So we've gone and put this together out of QuickBooks. So we now have a page for January, February, March, April, May. June is not at the bookkeeper yet, but through the end of May, we have a profit and loss statement. If you all will approve these, then we can get Charlie to post it to the website. So any of our members that want to see our profit and loss statement can go to the TREPO website and view it. Sure.
How can we
Did you get the one
get
January?
elaborated on anything? It's real general.
Did you go through all the pages and look at the details?
The details.
Yeah.
So going forward, if you guys want a specific item mentioned in the meetings, let me know ahead of time and I'll get with the bookkeeper and get you numbers. If you have a certain concern about something, your project you're working on or whatever, tonight after we talk about this, I'm going to share some other numbers with you, but for now, what do you think about the P&L statement for January through May that we can post?
I think it looks real good.
Yes, ma'am?
Can we identify what these general journals are? They're blank. Just says general journal.
This was in February when Evelyn was doing the bookkeeping, and I don't know what the general journals are. I'm not gonna give you any fluff, I don't know. If you want me to ask the bookkeeper,
What was the question that you had, John?
What is a general journal?
Okay, we'll get that cleared up with Carol.
Yep.
And we'll have that information for the August meeting. Okay?
She was looking at the February.
I'm looking at the February. And there's, every month there's general journals, but no designation is the month they. And I've been asking since August 24th of 2020.
See, if you look at April, there's no general journal on April. Carol and I have gone through extensively. She came over on a Sunday evening, and we sat down with invoices, and we went through our ledger and came up with new codes, because we don't want anything just lumped together in a group that is totally unidentified. We want, when we report the numbers, for you to really see where your money is or where you're spending your money. It's okay to go over budget. You don't want to adjust everything so it hits budget. But if you go consistently over budget in an area, then that helps you know that next year you need to put more money in that category. But we're not going to lump things in miscellaneous or in general anymore. It's going to be identified as close to what we're spending the money on as possible. Carol's doing a fantastic job.
Also, just one more comment too. We're proposing to move the meeting night to the second Tuesday of the month, and that will give them enough time to reconcile the previous months. It was moved some 10 or 12 years ago back to the first Monday to accommodate some folks that were serving at that time, but it was the second Tuesday. So since we don't have any motion on the floor, is the consensus of the board good with moving it to the second Tuesday, which is when it was originally established to be? So we just want to move it back. Do anyone have any objection to that?
When would that start, in August or
August.
July?
August.
August.
Mr. Chairman, do you need a motion?
No, I think if we just have a consensus of the board, that'll be fine. So if any objections to that, I don't hear any, so we'll go forward with that. And I do have it posted that way for the August 10th meeting. All right, so you've seen the financial report from Vicki. Do we have a motion to approve the financial report?
Make a motion to approve it.
Motion by Charlie Thompson, second by John Bryant. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Joe Nano opposes, so motion passes. We'll move on to our next item, and that,
I'm done.
oh, I'm sorry, you did say that you had some additional items. We just finished that report, so
Right.
come on, Vicki.
So Charlie, do you need anything on these to go ahead and post January through May on the website?
I can scan what you've got, or you can
Good.
email me soft copies, either way. I'll scan what I got.
Have fun, thank you. Okay, the only other thing I wanted to tell you was on the fish fry, we took in $1,074.31. Our expenses was $1,223.09. So we did go over by $148.78 on the fish fry.
Stuff we bought back, got one spot, stuff back.
Well, if it was labeled fish fry, then I labeled it fish fry and put it in,
I'm not sure.
as far as I know, as far as I know. I gathered receipts over a 2-month period for the fish fry, and then there was also donations made that went into our income in this as well.
We also still have paper goods and that type of stuff still left over
For the next one in October, good. Okay, so just so, you might wanna get a little fluffy feeling, in May, Memorial Day weekend, and May gatekeepers, we spent $1,486. That was on security and gatekeepers. And then in the month of June, we spent $2,000 on gatekeeping. So to date, for May and June, we've spent $3,486 on security and gatekeeping, which it'll go up quite a bit more in July because of the holiday.
Sure.
Yep, absolutely. And if I don't have any questions, then I'm done.
Okay, well, that's a great report, Vicki. And I did overlook one thing. We do have some absences tonight. I do see that Rick is here and Lisa's here, so we really can bring them forward to be on the board tonight in that capacity. So y'all would be voting on as voting members tonight on the board to fill those slots. So there's Lisa back there. Okay. So so your vote counts. All right. So we'll move forward. This time I'd like to get the president's report and Terry.
Yes, we've had real good, progress with the gates this year. I really had no issues with nobody. We will be running the cops this weekend, July 4th. I'm not gonna be doing it on Saturday and Sunday. We don't think we're gonna be on Monday. Really, we've been really growing, and really nobody's giving us no issues. I have one issue with one thing, and I called the cops, sometimes the cops got interviewed, I had them out the gate in this car, so they were dogs, but other than that. But I would like to, board to, talk about, me getting a pavilion like what we have at Point Park, at boat ramp. I've already got a price from one guy for $2,000 to do the same thing at boat, we got at Point, so we can have a shelter for our river at boat ramp.
At Point Park, what kind of shelter are you talking about? The
Like what we have at Point Park.
The wooden.
The guard shack.
Yeah.
Guard shack.
oh, okay.
There's nothing to.
Guard shack. Okay, all right. I thought you said pavilion, so I'm all.
I called it a shelter.
That was 2,000?
Yeah. That was labor and, materials and he's licensed and insured.
So what we can do, if the board will, if the board would be willing to approve about a dollar amount up to 2,000, I'll get with you, or the maintenance committee can get with you and just verify that person and those numbers, and then you'd be authorized to go ahead and do that if the board so choose. So we have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, is that sufficient to cover the cost of that? I was thinking if you should spend less, we could still authorize up to 3,000 if you feel like it'd be necessary. It depends on the size, obviously.
That's the same as what.
Pretty much about the same size as Point Park, I think, Mr. Chairman.
Say that again, Mr. Bryant.
Sir,
Say that again.
I think it's pretty much about the same size as you built at Point Park.
Okay.
And talking about that, if you don't mind, might give Mr. Bill to be able to find out from the power company about getting some pole put down. So they have a little power and little lights and little fan.
Is this at the boat ramp?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay. Well, that's good because that'll solve some other
Good job
problems that
there.
we'll have too.
fantastic.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, sir, that we do this.
You're making a motion to authorize, go ahead, you,
You know, if you come up $2,000, it's just like anything else. I mean, if anybody's bought any lumber in the last 3 months, they're gonna have a heart attack when it goes back. So I'm kinda like Trammell there, if you need the $3,000, let's do it. Because the people need to get out of the weather, I say up to $3,000. Because we need to do this. We got the money, we need to do it.
so you're saying give some flexibility up to 3,000, and then the committee can review that quote
Yes.
that she has and,
Yes.
And just verify everything.
I second that motion. That's a small price to pay to keep somebody from having a heat stroke out there.
Okay, so we have a motion by John Bryant to authorize up to 3,000, and a second by Charlie Thompson for a guard shack at the boat ramp park. So is there any discussion on that? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
That's,
What else do you have, Terry?
that's it. I thank the board for doing that.
Okay, well, Terry, your group that's working the gates,
Oh, yeah, Mickey.
Seem to be doing-
Yeah, yeah.
just one moment, John, I'll call you just a second.
Everybody's really pleased with Mickey that's working Point Park.
Uh-huh.
And I've been staying with Sherry at Hoder Park and she's been doing all right. We have had a couple of things, but, I just hired a guy to do boat ramp. He's gonna be doing it every weekend. A guy named Robbie, one of our members.
Mhm.
So, Elaine's gonna do it on Saturdays, and he's gonna do it on Sunday and Monday, this July 4th weekend.
Okay, so with any new people you have, as we had talked before, about those gate greeters, was to make sure that they understand that they don't need to put themselves in harm's way. They just have a function to perform, and we don't want anybody to, because folks do get to, get a little bit rowdy and have some problems. Y'all handled all the issues very well so far, and we're very, very pleased with what information's gotten back to us, so appreciate
What are we
that.
doing, gate readers all the way through Labor Day?
Yes.
Every
yes,
weekend?
Yes, yes,
Does the police cost us any money?
yes, they do, yes. Okay, John?
Yes, I'm curious, what was the count over the Memorial Day weekend for the Hodar Club?
But our corner, like 1,600.
How many people?
Around 1,600.
16?
When you count them when they're coming through the gate.
1,600.
And that's just that weekend?
Yeah.
And the rest of the weekends, what does that look like?
I didn't bring them with me. I do know, but I didn't bring them with me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you for the question, Joan, and thanks for the answer there, Terry. Is there anything else you have, Terry?
No,
Um,
it's been going good.
You anticipating anything on the 4th of July weekend?
I hired a cop.
Okay, I think we got that covered there. Good answer.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll move
But
on.
really, everybody's been really pretty nice. I think our members are kind of getting more, accepting of the rules and stuff. I mean, if they come in with glass bottles and I see them at the table, I walk up to the tables, I tell them they need to get rid of glass bottles, and they do what I ask them to do. Nobody really gives me no trouble.
I had a couple of times where I've come through in the afternoons and there's folks been playing loud music in the park, and was able just to walk up and say, we can hear it down here. And they were very gracious enough to turn it down and apologize. So the more we can continue to do that, you have to be very, very careful though, that time of the day, late in the afternoon. Okay, well, we'll move on then. Thank you, Terry. We'll move on with the maintenance report. John, you have anything to update us on? I know we've had a lot of lock issues that you've worked on and resolved, and I think you still got a couple more that's got to be fixed.
Thank you, Brother Chairman. Yes, I've got one right here in my hand from, midpoint, and we're gonna take care of that. I got another one out there in the truck. I think I'm gonna get you to get order a couple more. We got a little problem down at boat ramp. I think I'm gonna have to get Bill to shorten that chain up, because it keeps getting dropped in the dirt. I think it's getting a lot of dirt in it and stuff like that off the road. And all, we're doing pretty good with the park, I think. I come over today, we got the grass cut, got the broke picnic table out of the way, we repaired one of the picnic tables. I put a cone down before the washout's coming. We're gonna a couple of them to look at to address that and see how far we're gonna be where you put the line rock down. It's kind of on down on the phone, it's kind of making another.
Okay, so it's undermining their.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So we need to look into that. It's, and I think Von for calling me and I don't ever walk that quite that far down there. I mean, the guy does a fantastic job, especially when he brings that packing machine out here and packs it all down. I went by midpoint a while ago. I got one grill down there. I think I might put another one down there. As far as I know, the rest of the grill's looking pretty good shape. I haven't heard anybody complain about them so far. I like, of course, if somebody that likes to mess around on a computer or something like that, I'd like to get some of those tables, picnic tables, got the galvanized tubing to them, and we just add boards to them and stuff like that. I think that may help out quite a bit on a table situation, even though we don't pay a whole lot. When people start dragging these tables, like there's 2 or 3 down at the river today, when you start dragging them around, they fall apart. They're only wood. So, and you're not gonna stop. It's just like closing the gate, locking the gate. I see all the time on emails where I went by and closed the gate for all the members. I appreciate you closing the gate. But like one of our members said, you can't fix stupid with duct tape. So, I don't think of anything else that I have on my plate right now that I haven't tried to address as far as fixing things. I think we're in pretty good shape. I talked to our, guy that does our lawn mowing, and he's been sick, and he actually went on another medication, and come to find out today that I think that's what was making him sick, kind of down, you know, so.
Well, today's Tuesday, John, and I know he has been ill. He's a little bit
Yeah.
older fella, it's like, kind of like our age now,
Yeah.
so.
He's a go-getter, though. I mean,
So we
he
do
trims
need,
everything,
we do need to get the park, these few parks
Yeah,
mowed
well,
before the
this one got
fourth.
mowed today.
Oh, it did? I didn't even
Yes,
see it coming
got
in.
mowed today.
Well, very
Two
good.
lawnmowers over here.
Okay. All right, yeah, Jesse.
I'm just gonna mention that bridge park down there, the wooden fence that everybody parks against in 3 spots is falling down. And, also the grills there are also pretty tore up, if we were talking about the grills.
We need a grill at
Bridge.
Bridge,
Yeah.
okay. Well, now, Bridge Park has been cut. I've seen on the.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know it's cut.
It is cut?
yeah, it did get mowed, yeah.
I got one thing where he's talking about boat ramp. I was just there before I came up here.
Sure.
The piece that you stick inside the gate part, that lock, put the lock in, that's broke off.
I'm sorry.
Down there, boat ramp,
Yeah,
the piece you shove into the hole
yeah,
that you put the lock through,
yeah.
that's broke off.
Okay.
Oh, there's a hole in it too.
We drilled a hole in the gate itself to put the lock in the gate.
Okay.
People, the lot of ladies were having trouble, that thing weighs a lot, they were having trouble getting it, so they did kind of redirect that. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any plans on redoing Midway Park? I mean, Midpoint?
Midpoint Park.
The wood, the steps, the deck, all of that.
We've talked about it, but we just haven't gotten to it yet.
I'm willing to help whoever's in charge of that.
Yeah,
You're hired.
We're here.
All right.
If
So-
anybody won't get that cold water, they can take my
Um,
part.
Look, while we're talking about, that's come up a couple of times. Is it that it's just built inferior and it's actually,
And it needs to be raised about a foot. It needs to be totally redone. I think we have some drawings that Mike Cartwright did several months back.
Okay.
That kind of added another section to it, which was really, really a good idea. So I'd like to see that drawing come back
so
up and
what,
discuss.
so what you're saying is that we wouldn't be building another dock, we would just be repairing the dock?
Repairing,
So-
Very-
yes.
So we
Yes,
wouldn't,
that's
okay,
the word.
okay. So, well, John, would it be appropriate, I know we stepped out, we're still in maintenance, but would it be appropriate to, because you know materials are through the roof right now, would it be appropriate to, is it Debbie?
Jack.
Jackie, well, I was close, so,
See,
Well, if we can, I'll
Sorry,
see if
Jeff.
I can get hold of Mike again because the plans.
I have the drawings.
no, I think, did you say you had the plans?
No, I don't have
Oh,
the
okay.
plans. Y'all have the plans somewhere.
Well, why don't we take a look at those and see if we can throw a dollar amount on the lumber and all with that and see what we can do.
Is that a dock or steps?
It's a dock.
All
It's
of
a
it.
dock.
It's a little short dock, but we don't want to completely build a new dock, we want to repair. I
And
want
Thomas
to repair
Lumber,
the dock, so.
out of Providence, Thomas
Makes
Lumber has got really good prices on lumber right now.
Who does?
Thomas Lumber is really close to 6 months ago right now on lumber still.
Okay,
Yeah,
so John, y'all can work on getting some material cost on that,
okay, I'm gonna get the list from her, we're gonna go over it.
Okay.
He's
All right.
right about Thompson Lumber, and by the way, Jesse, thank you for pressure washing the clubhouse.
Oh, no problem.
okay, John, do you have anything else?
Not that I can remember, Mr. Chairman, I guess I need to write my own self some notes sometime, but,
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Fishing park. Where you put the rocks on the opposite side,
Yes.
they done knocked a hole through there.
And with the rocks are washed.
Yes, we've been made
Yeah,
aware
I
of
said
that.
something about 4 of them the other night.
Okay.
when I take my walk.
I've got, a rock lined up to go in that space.
Okay.
Right now, it's temporarily closed with a chain that somebody can take down real easy.
Thank you, Tommy.
But I need, I was hoping Sammy would be here tonight and see if he could help me get that rock.
Move.
It's over by, Point Park. I need to move it to Fishing Park,
Really?
to the front end of it.
There's a big rock over there?
Well, I got a friend that's got it.
Okay, okay. So that's something that we can get done then. One rock will do that?
I think so. I think one big rock.
Okay.
It's a big rock. So
Is that next to the Carswell property? Is that where this is, on that end?
it's on the east end.
East end, okay, all right.
And we've already had some action recently. A truck got stuck down in there, and the sheriff's department was very cooperative. They sent 3 patrolmen out.
Okay.
No, not to pull them out, but, and, they said they were gonna give them a citation.
Okay.
The responsible party.
Well, I think it's slowed down quite a bit, but
Yeah.
one time's too many. So, and those folks know that they're not supposed to be in there. Appreciate y'all working to police that. We've got to continue to try to barricade it to keep them out, and then ultimately some of the plans that we're talking about down the road and doing some restoration there and fixing it up kind of nice, because a lot of young kids like to go down and fish with their grandpas and whatever, and it's a chocolate mess. So hopefully we can
Stuck down there were non-members.
Oh, that's, so we ought to be very angry about that. Yeah.
So they need a trespass warning, so if they come back again, they can be arrested.
The deputy was supposed to do them.
One person was questioning the guardrail. I think that guardrail saves people, will save people's lives compared to putting rocks up there. Somebody questions it online.
Mhm.
And I think the guardrail being there was a good addition.
I think they did a good job. The
I do
county and
too.
the committee that worked on that did a great job with that.
Yeah, I think that, people could drive off of there, because it's really, and that puts them right into the trees and into the muck,
Okay?
Well, Chairman,
Yes, sir.
to address the gentleman there, we have a little bit of guardrails and posts left. We just have to find somebody we can hire, and we'll put them down. Mike tried to get it put down, but the guys, beam wouldn't go that far. We have probably, I imagine 50, 60 foot out here beside the yellow building, our storage building, that left.
Okay, well, I think Tommy's been kind of heading that up as the neighbors over there. Tommy, is that something that would be beneficial if you had more guardrail to use also?
I can't imagine how we would do it, because I really don't know where the property line is
On
on the east end.
Yeah, you can go on the property appraiser's website. You can get close to it, but
The county left us a bunch of guardrail and beams over here to do more too.
Okay.
We already paid that survey.
Yep, we did.
okay. Is there a survey on that? Yeah, there is a survey. They did shoot.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I think we can go back to the people that did survey it, and if we can find, maybe mistakes, or get them, give us a general idea where they're at. I think we can go from there and do it like Tommy was saying, let's go on that.
Okay. Well, I think the idea with the rock is a good one right now. That'll satisfy that, and then anything else, we do have some material. So, yeah, Vicki?
I have some of Evelyn's records, and she's got some files on every park, and there could be some survey information in there, so I'll go through that and see if I have it.
I thought that we just surveyed it, didn't we?
Yes.
So-
About a year ago.
Well-
Took the stakes down in 48 hours, it was tore down.
But it wasn't specific on the survey. I didn't say from
Oh, okay.
lot corner to lot corner.
Okay. All right.
It's a little bit harder.
I'll call Lex and see if he's got one on his own property. If he has one, we can get it, so.
And while, can I say something about mowing?
Yes.
That sounds great what we're doing, mowing our own property, but I called the county the other day about mowing the right of ways, because they're getting, I don't know if y'all like it or not, but they get pretty overgrown. And they said that at that time, which was a little over a week ago, they're 3 weeks out in coming into Three Rivers, and they will do everything, including, I mentioned about the debris on the right-of-ways, you know, from tree limbs and things that are piled up, and Blake Smith. And he said they're coming in, so it'll be about less than 2 weeks, I would think. They were coming down 18, coming this way, and they have a system. And he asked me if there was an emergency, and I said, well, not quite an emergency, we can deal with 3 weeks.
Great, thank you.
Pardon me,
Yes, sir.
about the right of way, do they go into the other streets besides just Newark?
If it's county right of way, so it would
So
be,
any county road that has a county right
if
of
it's
way?
county right of way and you've complained enough, you might get a shot at it.
They weren't specific. I don't think they do every single road.
That's right, they don't, just the main roads.
But I don't know what each one is. So we'll find out after they mow, and then if we want to go to the,
So you might want in about 2 or 3 weeks, kind of follow them around if you need them coming down your lane.
No, I can cut my own, I'm just talking about it making it so much nicer throughout the place.
Sure.
If all the right of ways were cut, you know, once they
Well,
work.
Okay, John? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, over to Jesse, that was, excuse me, that was the grill at Bridge Park, right, Jesse?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, and I'll get them in, I'll get my.
And also the fence, you'll see the fence when you pull up, man, it's 3 different spots with wooden fences down.
Yeah,
There's some
I tell
barbed
you
wire,
guys,
it's
I'm
kind
gonna
of
be
dangerous.
honest with you, that fence, the wooden fence that he's referring to, put up years ago, is definitely gonna keep rotting. I mean, we have a new, I say it's new, it's 500-600 years old, a 6-foot fence behind it. So,
Take it down.
I think it needs to be taken down.
Okay. Why don't we take a look at that? It's not urgent right now, but we could put it on the list and maybe do it in our cool season or something. if you want.
Right, Brother Chairman, I understand what Jesse said, but I went over a couple times and put a couple screws in that one border to the left. And it's just, you know, let's just scam on to it, and something else is just gonna keep falling, so. I think we need to look into that, and,
Okay, Mr. Brian, do you have any more on your maintenance committee report?
so, Mr. Chairman, at this time, I don't think.
Okay, thank you for the report. This time we'll move on to the communications committee. Vonda?
Yes, mainly, we've been handling all the communication emails that come in and, with our group. And, Terry has been a huge help on a lot of, fronts there, especially with membership. So she's been taking a lot of, memberships that have new people. We've had to turn over a property here in Three Rivers. So we have lots of new members. And, I've been trying to check everything out, that they own the property. Someone can't say that, oh, my parents want the key. So we are literally going and making sure the people on the property appraiser site on the deed are the ones getting the key, not a child, so it has to come from those people. Because there's a lot of people that want to be in here. Another issue are people selling their property or wanting to hang on to their keys. Well, you can't, you've given up your rights once you sold your property. So I got some ugly emails from a few, but, so what I'm doing is if they do not turn their keys over at closing, then those new people are then charged full amount for the rest of the year. And those people will go on a list that won't be able to enter the park. But we haven't come into that situation yet. So everybody has handed over the keys against some of their will.
That seems very fair, really.
Well, I mean, it's part of it, it's
Yeah.
property owners, and once you
Right.
own your property. I mean, if you owned another property, that would be another circumstance. So where we're at number-wise, on the Columbia County side, we have 683 members. Swanee, we're at 243 members. We have a total of 926 members. And we've got, that's as of last night, and she just handed me a couple extra, so.
It feels like it's more than that for what you've been handling.
It is, but we are still getting, keys back in the mail that were mailed in February, but everything's good on them, but I don't know.
Okay.
So, anyway, the other thing that, there's nothing else really communication-wise except for, I would like to ask the other board members, I would like to revote for May, the attendance for Bethany Pierce. I feel that she should at this point be excused because after the meeting, I mean, we had nothing to go on, other, I mean, Joan said it, but we didn't know. There's no fact. So afterwards, she posted something that she wasn't in the hospital, and I just feel that we need to revote that, to do the right thing. Now that we do know that she was in the hospital and it was a valid excuse.
So is that a motion that you're making?
I would like to make the motion to, I guess, revote the fact that, we put her as unexcused, and I feel that she did have a valid excuse, and that it should be a return to excused absence from May.
So do we have a second to that motion? Yes, sir. Bill?
I'm sorry, motion is to have a revote or just to,
Or
excuse,
return it.
or just to excuse the applicant?
Yeah.
We need to excuse it because it's.
Vote to
Motion is to excuse Bethany for the May meeting.
Correct.
Yes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Vaughn and a second by Charlie to excuse Bethany Pierce for the, is it February meeting? The May meeting, okay, the May meeting. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, is she here tonight?
She's not here. She was unexcused tonight.
How many times has she been absent from the meetings?
I think since elected, she's made 2 meetings, 1.5 meetings,
Since she had been,
since she has been elected. But we're not referring to those, just the one meeting, she did show that she was in the hospital, so the right thing to do would be to excuse that one.
Doesn't mean that another
It
vote
doesn't-
could not be taken.
Right, it does not mean that another vote can be taken, it doesn't mean that you have to excuse all of them. But that one, she did show proof she was in the hospital, so.
So any further discussion, Mr. Chairman?
how many unexcused absences is there presently, not including this one?
I'm not certain on that.
I don't know, I think, I hate to say I think, but.
Is there 2? My understanding of the 2
She
numbers.
gave it to and left her in the other one. So I just feel if, it's just the right thing to do because of the
I just want
information.
to make a point.
Right.
We gave her a chance. I'm going to vote with it. But we gave her a chance and she left. She took advantage of that. She left in the middle of the meeting, or not even in the middle, early on in the meeting.
Correct.
So as far as I'm concerned, she shouldn't be excused at all. But I'm going to vote with you simply because you made a decent argument. Otherwise, I don't think she should be in the position she's in.
So with that being said, that we have a motion and a second, and we have further discussion, John?
Yes, I think that you're being a little bit critical, as many of our members, our board members that are volunteers to be here, have missed a lot more than she has, percentage-wise. And I can show you the count. We've had several board members absent month after month after month. And you are singling out one person for whatever the reason. And I think that is totally deplorable.
Okay,
I
so,
have something to say on that.
all right, thank you. What you want to comment on that?
Well, I mean, you're talking about absences versus not absences, but to me, the core part of a board, your officers, is your secretary. Secretary should be here taking the minutes, and we should be in limbo, and our treasurer should not be taking the minutes, and there's no reason for it.
We had Mr. Crane was taking minutes for that, and Mr. Hunter refused to accept those minutes.
But we now are recording our meetings. There's no reason she cannot go into this recording and take the minutes from it.
Okay, so, okay, I'm going to ask you a discussion, so, I'm going to call for the vote, so, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, so you're opposed to?
You're opposed to that, you
I am not
Okay, we're fine. Let's a discussion, okay? I understand you
I'm
took
not
the
opposed
vote.
to the motion. I am opposed to having individual being singled out in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, so we'll move on now. Bonnie, have any other communications?
That was also the numbers, and stuff that we should return the excuse.
Okay, all right. Yes, John?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank these three girls that are doing a heck of a job. I know we're all missing the person who's making all this stuff all the time. Never have squat when I need it. Some days we need it.
Absolutely.
I see these girls out here struggling with it every day and doing one hell of a job.
Yes, they are.
They're putting up a bunch of BS. You work with people in public, it's totally different.
Yeah, I would comment on that. I said something about it earlier, but for taking over the membership issues with all the stuff that was out there. They personally handled every single one. They continue to handle every single one in a very professional way, and they reach out and they don't let go of it until they get it resolved. And that's very important, especially our members, because we have 926 members, and you think about it, why did people buy to be in? Why did they buy property and move to Three Rivers or come here as a vacation place? It's because they want to be members utilizing parks, and that's what these keys allow those individuals to do. Even those that don't use the parks enjoy the environment and the surrounding settings. So I just really commend you all. Appreciate where y'all taking us out. We don't have a single issue right now that's not handled, and if we do, it is not brought to anyone's attention. Someone has a personal problem with that. So is there anything else here? Okay, so we'll move on now to the Park Committee report. Tom Trammell, this is for discussion and/or action. Your committee met and has had, I think, many phone calls and discussing some possible procedural process that could be put in place to help shore up some security and to kind of advance going forward. So if you would, I'll just go ahead and ask you to make your report.
Mr. Chairman, forgive me if I stumble. I'm a little bit of a hard time on that, so I apologize. You did authorize the formation of this committee, and we met on April 13th. And we just mentioned again to the last meeting who's in attendance, or who's members of this committee. Terry Pester, our president, Charlie Thompson, who is a TREPO board member, Sammy King, TREPO board member, Skip Clemens, who is a TREPO member, Reese Davis is a TREPO member, Shirley Matthews is a TREPO member, Bill Gilchrist is a TREPO member, James Baker is a TREPO member, and myself comprised the committee. Our primary focus was on park noise regulation, which included a number of things. It broadened out some, but we tried to stay focused as we could on that. And after discussing the related issues, the committee recommends the following for the board's consideration. One, having to do with signage. The language on signs should be concise, applicable, and clear. Multiple signs should be eliminated and condensed to the fewest number possible. If you notice, you can spend a whole afternoon trying to read all these signs before you get to the park. So we're suggesting that maybe we condense these some in order that they be concise, readable, and understandable, not so much that it takes away from the beauty of the park. The signs should be consistent and attractive. Name all the signs after the state park DT division of parks. Signs should be placed near the front of each park and ramp, specifying the rules applicable to and for the parks and the ramps. Each pavilion, so the recommendation of the committee, each pavilion in the park should be identified by a number. With a sign on each pavilion indicating the number. As it relates to rules, we recommend that the existing bylaws, rules, and policies and procedures pertaining to noise, vulgar language are sufficient. What's missing is enforcement and consistent enforcement. And so we are recommending that all rules be consistently enforced. Procedures should be provided as to methods of enforcement of rules. We recommend that all rules related to the parks and ramps should be placed on TREPO social media. All rules related to the parks and ramps should be placed on the TREPO website. We recommend that gate readers should be trained as to proper procedure and their responsibility for enforcement of parks and ramps rules. We recommend that documents such as flyers, pamphlets, and/or printed notices of park rules should be provided to all gate readers and park personnel to be disseminated or distributed when needed. Violation forms. We recommend these should exist and they should be devised and used to document all actionable violations and actions taken. Park times. We recommend that parks be open from sun to sundown. Parks should remain closed at all times unless approved by the board. Loud music. We recommend there be no loud music in the parks at any time unless otherwise approved by the board. Any park event with loud music must be approved by the board in advance of the event. Profane and vulgar language in any form shall not be tolerated at any time. This includes, but is not limited to, audio, music, video, and/or personal communication. State laws and county ordinances shall be abided by in all parks and ramps. Local enforcement should be contacted when a suspected violation of state law and/or county ordinance has occurred or is occurred. Let's go back into this property. He's checking on John right now. Let's give him a moment. And he's trying to make sure she's okay. Just 1 second, please.
Mr. Trammell, can I ask a question? How do you know what's too loud?
Say what you do, if let me get through all that. If the question's not answered, I'll do my best to answer. And again, understand this is subject to board approval, starts already. But get that back in, please.
responsible for overseeing all aspects of TREPO parks and ramps, including but not limited to the enforcement of TREPO park and ramp policies and procedures, rules within the guidelines provided by the board of directors. The park manager would be responsible for overseeing maintenance of all structures, buildings, grounds, fencing, ramps, etc. Overseeing sanitation, garbage removal, and cleaning of all facilities. Doesn't mean they would be doing cleaning, they would be responsible for overseeing plumbing and electrical, overseeing maintenance of cameras, surveillance communication, video, audio, and other electronic equipment utilized in and around parks and ramps. The park manager would report to the supervisor designated by the board. This could be a board member, chairman of the board, or president, or a combination thereof, and decided by the board. The board would have ultimate authority over the park manager to conflicts of questions of authority or responsibility arise. The park manager could perform other duties as prescribed by the board, so this is not limiting. As it relates to park pavilion reservations, the committee recommends all park pavilions, one be numbered in each park, and must be reserved by TREPO members for use in advance on the dates, except that no member or group of members may tie up or reserve or use a pavilion for more than once in repetition or block unless approval is granted by the park manager. The park manager should be responsible for all park reservations and scheduling. General procedures for enforcement of park and ramp rules. All actionable, this is what we recommend, all actionable park and ramp violations, both criminal and rule violations, should be reported to the park manager. A violation of the state law or county ordinance should be reported to law enforcement. Violators of park and ramp rules should be warned of the violation and asked to cease and desist. If the violations of park and ramp rules continue engaging in violation, violators should be immediately placed on notice and provided with a approved document of the park ramp rules. The park manager should be notified. If necessary, the park manager will then notify the chairman of the board and or president in document violation. After the taken by the chairman, you should suspend the park and or ramp privileges of the violator or responsible party until the violation can be considered by the board. If the violation involves a violation of state law or county ordinance, law enforcement should be notified immediately. The park manager should also be notified. He or she should document the event and notify the chairman of the board and or president. The chairman of the board shall then follow the same procedures described previously. This can be refined, Mr. Chairman. You can add to it, but there's a bit of a catch-all that there are any other duties that are prescribed by the board for park manager. I think it's time, and I think it would give us somebody that we can count on to oversee all these things instead of trying to do it piecemeal, or you assign it to this volunteer, you assign it to this volunteer. I think we've reached the point where we could have someone that could oversee these things for us and do a good job if we pick the right person. That's our recommendation in general, and I'll leave it to you.
Go ahead, Vicki. Sorry.
I just have a question, if this is just pertaining to Columbia County, or would you have a different park manager for Spotty?
No, it would be pertaining to all TREPO areas, yes.
So the park manager would be responsible for everything? Okay.
So, and I think in some of the discussions, it wasn't necessary that we were gonna hire or would have to hire a 40-hour-a-week person. I think you would actually be able to gauge it based on season. I think it could be something that's done so that a routine wasn't figured out as to when a park ranger, they could always be on call. If that's something that could be negotiated such that no one knows when the park ranger may show up. They could easily show up on a complaint through a text or through a communications committee or whatever. So the point they're taking is that there is an authority that people need to know. Right now, the biggest problem we have a lot of folks, but it's very hard for everybody to police. We can get ourselves in a little bit. It's a little bit difficult to go tell somebody something when we're really not authorized to do so just because we're a member or a board member. You have a lot of stuff there, and everything there is good. And I think there was a comment about assigning a number to the pavilions, and that a person's membership number would be responsible for that pavilion. Did you elaborate on that at all? So
I think I did, but if I didn't.
So the point of the matter is, if I reserve a pavilion, and I don't care who I've got, who's there in that pavilion, I'm taking the responsibility for that. So I would be suffering the consequences. So people need to be aware who their friends are and how they engage themselves. So that was, I thought that was a good point in some of the discussions that were had. So going forward, do we really need to get this refined in a point by point, look. I mean, we could technically approve a lot of this in concept, but, there's still a lot of work to be done with this. It's gonna take a unique person to and some training.
Mr. Chairman, you're right, this is conceptual work, but it's also something I think that we could go ahead and move forward with if the board approves of it. I think it's worth doing. It may be that we need to refine it as it relates to job descriptions, but that can be done. And, like I said, there's kind of a catch-all. You can do this, you're responsible for this, and this, or any other duties as prescribed by the board or chairman of the board, however you word it, or the president even. So that you're not locked in and say, well, that's not my job description. And the job description is that and whatever else we're saying.
Right.
So, but you could start out part-time. I think ultimately you're going to see it's going to be a full-time job. That's a lot. It's a lot to do. As a member and as a board member, I'm willing to pay it because I think it's worthwhile. I think we've had so many complaints, especially as it relates to noise, as it relates to people acting out and conduct, such that it offends a lot of people. And with kids in the park, I think we need an authority that can help us with this instead of, okay, we're going to contact Vicky or we're going to contact Vonda. We're going to, I think it needs to be centralized, and then that person reports to a supervisor. And then ultimately, like I said, we've sat back and thought that, well, we didn't really have, what can we do? We don't have any authority. We got a lot of authority. The authority, the parks, the ramps are under control of the board of directors. So if someone violates those rules, then it can be that you can suspend their privileges in the park or use of the ramps. So that is a punitive action, a penalty that can result if the board chooses to take it.
Okay, Bill, you had a question
Well, here's my
or comment?
You committee did a wonderful job, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank those that are on the committee. But are some actionable items in his report, numbering of the pavilion, signage, and those kind of things, the conceptual idea of a full-time park manager would have to be explored. Did you discuss how you want to select this person? Is it going to be a board approved? Is there a posting process or an announcement process for those who apply for the job? A lot of ramifications there that I don't think you've got quite the handle on yet, but the actual items I think you can go ahead with.
Okay. Let's have some more discussion then, because I think this is actually something that's new, that's actually going to make a big difference going forward. And I think that a lot of the concerns that we have out here about our roads and these people that aren't members that are coming into our area, they're on county roads and they're causing issues and causing a lot of concern. I think as we begin to police ourselves on our own properties, I think it'll spill over into those areas. We'll have more familiarity with law enforcement, and we probably would have a quicker way to inject ourselves into that legal system a little more confidently, if you follow what I'm saying. It seems like every time we take a step, if we keep taking a step further and further and further, and we build that consensus and confidence, I think we can get there. We do have a question. Is it James?
Yes. And one of the things that we have discussed, and also we talked with some of the deputies about, you actually need to have an individual addressed by one of the deputies, and they need to be trespassed, or they need to be removed. You need somebody with some type of authority. The park manager, ranger, whatever you want to call him, will be given that authority by the board. Like you said, to have them removed.
John's number, whatever, when he finds an issue that needs to be repaired, maintenance, all these other things can be, like I said, he's not gonna fix it.
He
But
reports.
he can report. And again, like you were mentioning, if you can look up whether he's a certified security, or he or she is either security certified, whatever certification y'all wanna make this individual have. I don't really know if that's that necessary, but it just needs to, like you can pull on somebody's experience, retired, whatever type of position that has security, background, and actually somebody that has the local communication skills to address people. I've worked with people that can talk the Pope into a fight. If you want to have somebody that can just gently talk to people but be effective.
Well, I'll say this. There is another Three Rivers group across the river, separate from our Three Rivers. They've got a pretty tight, complete, policed little neighborhood. They do it themselves. I don't know if anybody familiar with that organization?
Yes.
It's a Three Rivers? Yeah.
It's
Well,
Kentucky Estates.
Okay, well,
Where Dale Goss is.
well, let me just give you a little example of something. When I was a little younger, playing around on the river, I decided I was going to go explore that little neighborhood. And I got out of my boat, their little boat ramp. I started walking through their neighborhood. It wasn't 10-15 minutes. They were swooping down on me. And they advised me right quick that I was trespassing, that I had no right to be in there. And they escorted me back to my boat in a very nice way, but I hadn't been back since. So, I got to be honest with you. I think that's what we're kind of missing just a little bit, is that deliberate. We don't want to harm anyone or take anything away from anybody, but this is our neighborhood. And what really, the comment that was made about fishing park, some guys, we've gone to all of this trouble to do this work, and we have people that are non-members with pickup trucks violating that wetland area there and turning it into a nasty swamp. And yet our grandkids and families want to enjoy that area. It's up to us to ensure that that happens and find a way to put in place what needs to be done for our members. So I really commend the committee on that. Vicki, you have something?
Vonda and I had discussed this a couple weeks ago when I was at boat ramp for the day. It might be a good idea at some point to have walkie-talkies between the person at Hoder Park and boat ramp and Point Park. Maybe if you have somebody at Midpoint, because when you have something going on and you're just one individual, you might need to call for some backup. So at some point, if you do have a park manager, it'd be nice to have walkie-talkies at each location so they can call for help if they need it. At boat ramp, I had zero service. I talked to Freshwater Game Commission, and they gave me their phone number. If I had an issue to call them, I went out in the middle of the road, I walked up and down the road, I had no service. Mr. Brim gave me his number in case I had trouble to call him. I had no service. I'm going, well, I'm dead in the water, something happened. So walkie-talkies are some means of communication.
We'll leave that with that committee and
Yeah,
let
that
them
would be
resolve
good.
that problem, because I have to walk out of my house to the street to get a signal, so.
A walkie-talkie don't work either.
Yeah.
We've tried that.
Okay, so let's leave that with the committee. Let's leave that with the committee. So there was a suggestion made by the parliamentarian that we do have some items that we could go ahead and approve and get those done tonight if the board so chooses. And then we've got some things in concept that we want to go forward with. We just got to put a little more teeth and structure in it. So what's your thought, Chairman Brown?
I agree, and certainly the parliamentarian is right, that there are things we can vote on, you're right. I think where we need maybe more work is the park manager's job description and what we expect of him or her, and related also to the qualifications, what we want in this person. And I think Rich made a good point that, it's not about how fast you can draw a gun, or it's not about drawing a line and saying, you got to do a lot of other things before you reach that point. But so we can try to go through here and and you can vote on it, it's however, whatever you want to do. There's,
I would recommend that you through your committee, make a recommendation to the board, of those items that, because you had quite a number of items that we could go ahead and start acting on right away. And then I would suggest the committee go back and, work on the one main factor is the ranger or manager.
do you want those recommendations now? I mean, is that what you're asking? Or-
Well, I would ask the board, what's the pleasure of the board?
Can we put it typewritten form on the website?
Can you type that down?
Sure. But I want you to.
He wants it to be-
Okay, well, our next meeting is August the 10th. So, is there an urgency to get these things done now? We're moving along pretty well.
Sure.
I think we're already actually slowly moving into some of those. We don't have it formally done that way, but some of the items that you have there, we're moving. Yes, sir.
You may want to kind of throw in what you're going to budget as far as salary goes. That's one thing y'all will definitely have to do together. But, and again, it's just, if you want to get the right person, you're not going to, you know, and I still think the gate readers are overpaid. But it's gonna be something you're gonna have to figure out. We used to do it for free.
I actually think that the committee can review that and make a recommendation back, because we have nothing solid to go on right now from the perspective of what the committee has on that position. So that might be something all of us working through your committee can work on, Tom.
Well, again, let me just ask, is this something that you want to try to vote on, certain things that are maybe actionable that we can go ahead and vote on, or do you want to wait for?
Well, like the numbering of the pavilions can be done rather quickly, and if we change the way we do the reservations, we can do that. And then the signage, I don't know if Mr. Matthews that's gonna be part of your signage project.
me sign that.
I don't know, but we've done a lot.
No, you volunteered.
You missed a meeting.
Oh, there we go.
So how many points did you have? There were quite a number of points there, Mr. Travis.
About 10 pages.
I got about 13 pages here, but, you know, it was kind of a concept as it relates to signs, but somebody should be assigned, not I, please, to look at these signs, I think, and say, okay, here's how we need to do it. We need to do it consistent with what the state parks do. I mean, make it look good. Here's what needs to be on the signs. If you go to the boat ramp, there's so many signs down there. I mean, yeah. So my recommendation is maybe people who have had, you know, great experience with signs could maybe figure out what we need and model it after DEP or the state parks or something, and tell us, here's what we need.
Okay.
That would be what I would recommend on the signs. Then we got something clear and, you know, that we can move for.
Type that up, we'll look at it.
Keeping me on the track and stuff. All right. The social media part, we said all rules related to the parks and ranch should be placed on TREPO social media. I'm assuming they may be already.
They are,
The TREPO website,
they are.
they're already on there.
By park,
Are
by
they-
park.
By park,
Our
okay, so.
rules are specific to the park, because some parks are different than others.
You made some comments about noise and profanity, and that's typically actual law. So that would be where we're kind of having to police ourselves with county law, is that right? But we can police our own properties. So we've got to get a real good understanding of how that fits.
In order for deputies to be involved, it's gonna have to constitute disorderly conduct or disorderly intoxication, or trespass after warning, those kinds of things. Anything less than that will be a rule violation that we would need to take action. And that's where the park manager, we're saying it doesn't matter what kind, we don't care what kind of violation it is, he should be or she should be notified of any violation.
But I think because it's our property, if we make rules and those rules are the same for every member and it's voted that way, then that's the rule.
That's correct.
So, do you want, do you,
This time you have Dustin Dawn, whatever, they go down the river at night too. They're doing the trip now, but I mean, that's, but,
You can't loiter, or you can pass through, but you can't loiter.
what?
You can pass through, that's one of in the rules. You can pass, you can go into the park and launch, but you can't stop. Yeah, you can't stop and party. That's not part of it.
Are they doing somebody or they're at a function? Because I see them go down 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and they're.
well, they need a
and
drink
they're
that
in
late
the
at night to
river,
float
they're
down the
allowed-
river, I sure do.
I guess they should be allowed to be in the river, but.
Right,
I think,
can't, yeah.
dusk to dawn is the easiest way to do it, and the exception is, in our case, if we decide there's a park manager in place, all they have to do is notify the park manager, we got a group on float down, can we come through? Not a problem. And that's how easy it is. There are exceptions to every rule. And, well, not every, but some rules don't need to have.
As long as it's fair for all members the same.
That's correct.
So, are you prepared to do this tonight, or do you want to get this list written up and
I'll do
present
whatever
it back?
the board-
And
What's the pleasure of the board? I'll be happy to do whatever.
I think it's so
I
vast
should ask you,
right now.
whatever you think.
It's so big, I think we need to be broken down.
So let's do a
And work
point
on the
by,
signs that you want, you want.
okay, let's, we have a consensus, I believe, that this is the direction we want to go forward. Okay, so we're already slightly administering some of these processes. We haven't even made them official, but y'all have already taken that on and you're already doing that. So why don't we do this? Let's do a point by point, break it out into categories, and bring it back on August the 10th, and then get it done. I think it's just like the noise issue. It's not as bad as it was. There are a few breakouts here, but because we put the word out, and I think that there's several of us have stopped in the park and asked them to please turn their music down. They've always done that.
Sure.
Why don't we keep doing that?
The other thing I would suggest is on the social media and the website, I think what we were looking at is not only those things that's already been posted, but the rules related to the reservations of pavilions, for instance.
That's on there.
You know, it is.
Yeah, they sent us
But
an
you have to,
email.
but right now you don't have to reserve every pavilion.
Not every, just the large, small.
We're recommending every pavilion because.
And I agree with that.
So we can add more to the
Just
list
one moment,
easily,
just one moment.
but right now it's the large, the small, or this building here, if you wanted to reserve it. But the rules and stuff are on there, you have to accept them, you have to give us key number, you have to.
But that's on the big one and this.
The large, the small, and the clubhouse.
Right.
But we do probably need to add the other rule
Right.
We
waivers.
could add the other ones really.
So there's no doubt, and I think the parks are separated on the website. They are, and so those numbers can be associated with those parks.
Right.
That's correct.
So
That's
it's
correct.
understandable.
And then you would have a member,
Yes, sir.
The small picnic tables that y'all are talking about, when we come to float, that's kind of where we stop, we sit, we organize, and then we go. I really don't think those should be able to be reserved,
No, that's
because
ridiculous.
they're down there
Yeah,
for
I
us to
agree.
get set and do what we're gonna do, or watch our kids, or grandkids. Those are too small to really be reserved to me. And
What-
that also
Just
would
one
be the
moment,
park.
please, Jesse.
The camping park, I mean, that's kind of the same thing. Those small ones, I just really don't think they should be reserved, because if I come with my family and we want to eat a sandwich before we go, and the table's available,
And she does bring up a very good point, because always the good people get punished, don't they? So how do you deal with that? Is it where you take it over? And is there a time?
It's a simple process of just calling ahead and saying we'd like to use pavilion, whatever. And here's part of the reason, here is the reason for it. We've had issues with people at these pavilions or picnic areas who have violated many rules, who played loud music, played profane, music. And we have no way of necessarily identifying them. But if you assign a member number
to that reservation, then that person's responsible for whatever goes on there during that period of time.
Give us an example when that happened.
If we had a park manager, wouldn't he be called to handle that problem?
Yes, yep,
So
yep.
I don't wanna
Somebody
have to
using the
call and say,
pavilion down
hey,
here.
I'm gonna
Just one person.
use my table. I mean, I don't think they should be reserved. I think the park manager should be able to go down there and handle that problem, or those problems. But let's not
Okay,
reserve the
let's
little
do
tables.
this. We've got some very good points. Let's discuss that as we put those points. We'll bring it back. And, yes, sir.
I think that person would also be a purveyor of communication to new people coming to the area and also members. So it's all coming from one voice instead of, there's no doubt all the board members are available to anybody, but if you have a person in this position that you want to set up, they have the stuff available and they're just, like you said, to be on call or whatever. The information is all the same. Say you got somebody looking to buy a place in here and they want to see what TREPO's all about. Just one person would have that information available to give them. So I think it's a good idea. That way they're not getting, everybody's got a story, but the story changes.
Well, let's do this. We've taken, I think, a good step forward. Yes, Jesse.
So let me just clear this one more time. So if I come down and I get
There
off
is-
work
there is no
early,
rule right now.
and
We're
I want to go down
discussing
to
it.
the river to use the pavilion, you're saying that I've got to call somebody, try to get a hold of them before I can go down with my family and eat a picnic lunch at any of these pavilions down here. Is that what y'all are trying to say you're trying to do?
Just the big ones.
We're gonna, right now, we reserve, so,
Right after the tip.
yeah.
It's never been that way. Just those two. It's never been that way.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna refine this, get a point by point, come back and have some discussion, take into consideration what we've heard here, debate that and see how we can, find some resolution and come up with a plan. Is that good with the board?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Rick?
We just make a motion to support the committee report in principle and go from there.
So basically approve it in concept, giving it some energy.
It's going in the right direction,
So,
yes.
okay, well, I don't think we really need a motion for that, do we, Bill? Or can we take a motion?
I don't think you have anything to make a motion.
Okay, that's
Other
fine.
than say thank you for the committee, you're good.
And the consensus is strong, so that's good. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Trammell? You had enough? Okay. All right. So we'll move on to camera security. Charlie Thompson has done some work in looking at camera placements that can assist us with security and hopefully help us with some of the damage that has occurred in many cases. It's costing us quite a bit of money, or has cost us quite a bit of money for the years. Hopefully this can help alleviate that. So Charlie, I'll leave it with you.
Well, without saying which cameras, as some of you know, not all of our cameras are working properly, and haven't been for quite some time. So, want to look at replacing some of the ones we got, and
If I can interject just a second, too, those cameras are, what, 10 years plus old technology?
very old. I've
Yeah,
been
okay.
working for 6 years.
So just so that you
They were
understand,
good before me.
technology's changed so much in the last years that they're really outdated, so that's why we're having the discussion.
Yeah, some of them's not working. They're all outdated, but some of them's not working. We need cameras in other places where, as we're growing, adding that building over there, which is not covered by camera system currently, and we have more and more vandalism. So, I was asked to look into some camera systems, so we can come up with, put together a plan to replace all the current ones, put cameras on the corners of the buildings and at the doorways. Some of those would also have floodlights as well to make sure nobody's tripping. Like as you walk up to the bathroom, there'd be obviously not in the bathroom, but outside the bathroom, would be a camera and a floodlight so that people can see without running into the wall and everything.
That's an automatic
Would be automatic.
sensor?
Yes. Also, recorded here, but where your park manager would be able to see it from home, or any of us could really, whatever. Whoever has access to it. So wanted to add that to it and put everything in a locking cabinet. As you know, right now, if you know where the DVR system is, you know that it's somewhere laying on top of the table that if anybody got to it, it would be easy to just walk away with the whole DVR. So put it in a locking switch cabinet and everything with redundant power. But on the cost side, if I can read my own typing because I'm going blind because I'm old, we're at $6,944. That's no labor or anything, that's just the cost of the parts, because labor's not gonna cost us anything, because I'll install it. But we're looking at about $7,000 worth of parts to update everything, put it all together, new cabling, the whole nine.
So these cameras real refined where you can see your faces and all?
Yes.
It's not just gray, is it gray?
No, this is good enough where we can see exactly who it is. We could actually go tap somebody on the shoulder and say, hey,
This is for all parks and ramps.
this is for ODR. This would cover, in and around the clubhouse, the outside of the, A-frame, outside of the bathroom, the, pole down there as you're coming into the gate, would cover all that, so.
Mr. Chairman, what would it cost for all parks and all ramps?
I would have to put some numbers together, and it's really going to depend on what we can get down there for internet. I know in some areas, our neighbors were nice enough to say, hey, you can use our internet. In those cases, we can stick a camera down there and use the neighbor's internet, pipe it right back to our DVR here, and that way we're not looking at much of a cost. But if you're looking at a place that currently doesn't have internet or something, then we have to have some way to connect.
Like $60 a month for Wi-Fi?
Yeah, plus whatever the power across was down there and that sort of thing, unless you want to be putting solar panels, which I can do that too.
So, Vicki, you were next, and I'll get you, Jim.
So if we already have internet and Wi-Fi at the Swanee Boat Ramp, can you consider putting one camera there?
Oh, yeah, that would be quick and easy, actually.
Thank you,
Swanee boat ramp would be very quick and easy.
thank you.
Jackie?
Could we consider that not the whole board be able to look at these cameras, have one specific person that can, and if we have an issue, go back and look at the film or the
Absolutely.
recording instead of everybody on the board being able to go, oh, look.
No, I agree with that. That's more of a policy thing than it is a hardware thing. I mean, really, in all honesty, I'm your IT guy, so I have to have access to it because I have to configure it. If somebody else wants access to it, let me know. I'm not going to willy-nilly put everybody on there. If there's an issue, if you let me know, I'll pull the recording. Or if you want to put the manager on there, I can do that too. But putting everybody on there would be kind of senseless.
You
I
just
think-
mentioned it,
yeah.
that's why I had to clarify.
I think primarily, we're having, I'll be honest with you, the girls that are cleaning these bathrooms, they're atrocious. And it's perceived to be the same people all the time.
We need to catch them.
So we need
yes.
to have some, light sensors with cameras that we can see who's coming in and coming up in the bathrooms. We've also had break-ins in the bathrooms through the side windows. So, and it takes a small person to do that, but they've been
We've had
doing
other
it.
activities going on in the bathrooms.
So-
Teenagers.
So there's issues there. It costs a lot of money to fix the plumbing and do a lot of that work. Also, we've got folks violating the fences around and entering the park. We should be able to pick up, especially at the front gate, people that are leaving the gate open or propping the gate open. We'll know who they are. And at some point here, is it okay if, Bill, if you leave the gate open? I don't think so. So it's not okay for anybody to leave the gate open because that's why we have a key for security. Yes, sir.
I was getting into that because I got pitched at a few weeks ago. What's up, why couldn't we do a gate card? You can do it off your Wi-Fi too. Yes, they have padlocks that work off the gate card and Wi-Fi. And you can do it with solar panels where you do not have electric.
That would be something that we could discuss after this season, I mean, we're into the season.
Because every night I walk, you know where I live all the way down Copperhead.
Yeah.
I walk sometimes all the way to the boat ramp.
We can discuss that.
And sometimes I walk to another park, every gate is open.
Yep.
The gate at the camping park, they'll wrap it, put the lock, like it's locked, and leave it.
So that's why we're taking a step forward
Right.
every day.
I understand.
Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Thompson, how much is it gonna cost? I've heard the 6,000 plus figure. How much is it gonna cost for everything, labor, parts?
Well, I'm doing the labor, so that's not gonna cost you. That price was for the parts, and that's just, I didn't put, if it's gonna cost shipping, I didn't, let's see what shipping is gonna cost, that's just the,
So estimate, if we included Swanee County, what would be the estimated cost?
You wanna have-
Their camera.
if you wanna have Swanee County,
Two,
if you want two cameras, you need to add probably about $200 a piece to the cameras, I can tie them into the system here and call it a day.
How much, what would be the maximum amount you would need?
Just a moment, John.
extra 15.
He said you don't know until you start buying it.
Right.
Well, I mean, some of these
You can
other.
approve up to a certain
Yeah,
amount.
I mean, I see where you're going as far as improving up to a certain amount. Unfortunately, you know, like some of these areas where there is no power and stuff, I'm gonna have to look and see what I'm gonna need as far as internet. What am I gonna need as far as power? Can I use solar? Do I have power that's close by? Can I put a camera on a neighbor's house and save us money? So I mean, there's, you know, I need to do a site survey for each one and really come up with the numbers. These numbers were based on this part. I would be happy to go back to the drawing board and get numbers for each park individually if that's what you like.
Mr. Chairman, I'm willing to make a motion. I just want to give me a ceiling figure or something we can work with, and I'll be happy to make a motion.
Well,
to move forward.
let's talk about, are cameras a tool that we feel that we need going forward to secure these parks? Because we can't beat these people right now, and it's costing us significantly. We've got a significant number of violations. We can't keep up with it. And I will say that you're talking about, you would actually have a home base, that's where the guts of your system would be here.
Yes.
And we're talking about putting that in the A-frame, which we're now moving the office there, moving files and everything there.
I want to put this in a metal lock cabinet inside of a locked room, inside of a locked building.
In the back.
So, okay, so that's,
Yes, sir. That actually included signs to make sure that when you walk in, you know that they are, make sure being recorded.
so, yeah, Jesse, you have a question?
Are we not following the Florida laws and what our internal auditor said, but y'all said and getting independent bids from several people before y'all make a decision on doing a job, or are we just not doing that?
We haven't bought anything yet, so that's why I asked a moment ago for them the committee to get together.
If money to be spent on stuff. in
We're
advance.
agreeing for a threshold, but we'll go out and get quotes.
I mean, on the other stuff too, yeah, I was on that.
Actually, if I could answer his question. Yes, basically. So what I've done was I've looked at multiple camera manufacturers, multiple vendors, where to get all this stuff, and I did not choose what was the cheapest. I chose what was best for the job, because cheapest is not always best. I could get a cheap camera that was so pixelated you'd never be able to see anything through it, or I could get a slightly better camera that cost a little bit more money so we could see the faces. I chose if you could see the faces. As far as labor and stuff, I'm putting it in, so it's not going to cost any labor, so there's no reason to get other bids, because get a bid against $0. Good luck. Unless somebody pays us to put it in, which that would be cool. So, yes, I have looked at multiple manufacturers and multiple systems to see which one was going to suit
So
better.
these gonna be Wi-Fi cards, basically? But
Yes
don't
and no.
start on-
Actually, some of this is Wi-Fi cameras, some of this is wired in.
You're gonna hardwire some
Some
of
of-
it.
some
One
of it-
them here, you're gonna put Cat 6 and run it to it.
Yes, some of it is hardwired and some of it is through wireless.
If you
So
need
that is
help,
a mixture.
if you need help, you know you can call.
Okay,
Appreciate
John.
that.
You know I do that for a living too.
John, you'll be called. John?
Mr. Chairman, we've been kicking this thing around about 7 or 8 years, if I'm just saying.
No, we're kicking around tonight.
I mean, we have kicked it in the past.
Yes.
So, you know, guys, Charlie's office is put it out for nothing. So, I agree with what Kevin says, I agree with what Charlie says, I agree with what Tom says. Let's get off our duff and let's do it. We beat around the bush, we can sit here at midnight talking about this thing. We need it, we're growing. When I first started around here, we had about 300 something, we only had 100 something. We're growing. We need it, we got to have it.
Okay, thanks, John, and much appreciated your comments. We're moving forward with it. Go ahead, Tom.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we allow up to the maximum of $10,000 for the installation of the equipment, monitoring equipment that Mr. Thompson has been describing, which to include Hoder and the Swanee County Park. And if he needs more, he can come back to the board. That's my motion.
I second.
Okay, so, and with that, I would like to actually take a look at exploring boat ramp point and midpoint. And there are some neighbors, like at midpoint, Paul Heimmuller has agreed to allow for power and internet. So that should make the job pretty easy, wouldn't you say, Charlie?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
and not sure who the neighbors there are at boat ramp, but we really need to have something showing these, just like the gate, the boat ramp gate. Nobody wants to close that gate. Well, somebody, they need to be held accountable for that. We may see things there related to people using keys that may not be, shouldn't be there. They shouldn't have the keys, because we've been having some things reported about people coming into the boat ramp part that have nothing to do with Three Rivers. And how they got keys, I have no idea, but that's what's going on. So these are a lot of things that we can take a look at. And I think you can actually, we could do some add-ons with that, possibly
Yes.
look at those.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
did we get a second on that? And I apologize. I shouldn't have.
John second.
Oh, John second. Okay, so we have, and we just had some
Becky, I will be
discussion.
putting in receipts on this because I do not want anybody to say that Charlie made a profit on any of this. Install works free, and whatever it costs me is what it costs me the board, so.
So what I would recommend though, in essence, is that we might have a description, because this is a very technical equipment, maybe some little narrative as to why we're choosing this equipment and as related to something you might, you see where I'm coming from. That way we can at least cover some speculation that it's not done proper. So we have a motion, second. Is there any other discussion?
I think I'll get with the bookkeeper and come up with a new code, because I was just checking the budget, and we don't have that in the budget, of course.
Okay.
So we'll separate that money out.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So that pretty much concludes most of the agenda items. We will,
New business monthly.
we will move on to new business. Mr. Matthews, you have some new business?
Yeah, when we had the incident at Fishing Park, the truck got stuck. Deputies down there, I had talked with them, and they said they felt like we needed a card or something rather than just a key to identify if we members of TREPO. And I just dug this up. This is an old one. I had from 1992.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's actually proof. And I don't know if we can put that on the list for next year or something. Or
These people are so good. If they're duplicate keys.
how do you duplicate that? Well, maybe something.
I can make you a copy of this real quick and
That's
easy.
what I'm saying, I could get you one.
Yeah, but you're honest.
Right, but.
That's true.
There's a small group that's not. I mean, the majority of our members are awesome. You know, everybody do really want to save things.
But let me throw something out at you. The officer was talking about the people that had their trucks down into the park, and the question was, are they members or not? And so they have the right to be a member, so that would allow them to be able to do what they're doing. Is that?
No.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to, that's my point. So,
But we might have situations again, if somebody presents a key, the key might be 3 years old or something. You know?
Well, the issue with fishing park, there's no vehicles in the park.
exactly, that's the point. So,
I would guarantee even if they're a member, they can't have their vehicle in that park.
right. So with our rules posted, with the signage, going back to the signage, if the signage is up to date on what our rules and the way that we're going to enforce, if we say that this is private property for members only, and these individuals are violating these rules, and Tommy, going back to noise or profanity or whatever, that's the little gray area that we've got to work out with law enforcement. It doesn't matter who they are, even if they're a member. We'll take care of, let me have your number. We'll take care of that on our side, and then law enforcement's got to take care of theirs. I would assume that's what we're looking at.
Yes.
So, no, it's a good idea, but I wish.
It is a good, and we can do something like that, but the problem is, the few issues we run into this year are not property owners, they're distant family members, friends, people that should not be holding those keys. But, I mean, I think that's.
And let's talk about that more, because that may take us to another place.
Yeah, that's not.
You see what I'm saying? So we'll go with that.
Well, they did that years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yes, James?
Is the fishing park considered wetlands?
Yes.
So will they not be destroying the wetlands?
Yes.
Been doing it since day one.
No charge that, that was in front of the.
Right. Okay, did I miss something?
Our gatekeepers, when you get the number, you ask a name, it doesn't match.
We have been looking at keys, not just asking for the numbers, we're
Right.
trying to find out if there's.
But shouldn't they know the name that that key is in as well?
And she had to get about it.
So they need to know the name that belongs to the key.
Okay, yes.
I mean, you're not gonna get 100%, but it's sure, it's at the end.
When they
Like
get
that.
there, otherwise,
Right.
when they're there, they can really about it.
No, I think without cameras, nowadays, I think TREPO is liable for a lot of stuff that can happen. And with us not moving forward to secure our locations, we are liable for, let's say, we talked about young kids getting in the bathroom or breaking in or whatever, somebody gets hurt, raped, or whatever. I think that we don't have the right, well, you're making the right steps right now.
You're exactly right, and we are in a lawsuit right now.
Yeah.
And that lawsuit goes back to 2018.
Right.
There were two lawsuits. The first one was dismissed, and it was the death in one of our parks, the camping park. Now we're in the second lawsuit, and so the board is having to get deposition in the case.
Right.
And the questions that we're answering has everything to do with Do you have rules? Do you have dates? Do you have members? Is everything done the same for everyone? And so forth. So we're going through all of that. So, and with that being said, I mean, we're a homeowners association. Our rules are fairly clear. We're just trying more and more and more. So the more that we do this, hopefully, it'll shore up lawsuits against us. I will tell you that our carrier got the first case absolutely dismissed to 0. The second case is looking fairly strong for us. So our carrier's done a good job of that. So, was there any other new business? Matthews?
There was talk a year or so ago about on our locks, put the key in to unlock, and the key would not come out until you locked it back. Did that go away, or is that impossible to do, or does anybody know anything about?
I don't know, the problem would be like, you got a bunch of people coming in Point Park, you gotta line up for that person that says, show his key, get the number, he passes it, he pulls 40, he can't pull his key out, because then he's kind of holding the line. I mean, for the most part, it worked good, but I think during our nights, having to get readers sometimes.
John had a question on the locks. Right. So
I just had that lock replaced my way.
but July's coming up. July's coming up. Our season, we will start looking at renewals around October, November. We're going to look at some strategies on that. We can also begin to, in the next few months, take a look at our key system and address that and see how comfortable we are. Is there a better mousetrap? It's been discussed many times. Nobody's come up with one yet that's functional enough that we can do. I'm not saying that we can't find one, but we can certainly explore that going forward.
Mr. Chairman, I know a lot about the lock. You guys ever met 1,600 people?
No, there is.
I'm just saying, you know, the traffic is not only the lock and manufacturer, but look at the traffic tonight. 1,600 people. I mean,
Yes, we had to actually just change out. That was done about 4 or 5 months ago. You just came last week. I asked you to come back. And if you think about it, with sand and dirt off the road, 1,600 something on a weekend. If you take it every day, the typical use, you're just going to have appreciation, wear and tear. There's just nothing you can do about it. It's just the cost of doing business. That's all you can do.
no, but I'm Chairman, actually, you talked to him, you can honestly get right home. One girl told me, I said, hey, change it completely out.
Yeah.
Mikey wasn't good.
Right.
You gotta figure too, if the key is wet and the sand blows in there, now you can make money stuff off. You can't get it.
Is there any, Tom, is there any new business?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't live on the edge study, but I know that the people that live on the edge study have problems with boats coming in there when we have high tide around here. And one thing, I had a friend up the road here that mentioned that there's signs out there about no weight, but they're old. They seem very good. Who's responsible for that? Would that be us?
I'm not sure there's a regulation that says it is no way. Is that, let me ask Mr. Graham on that. That's what he used to do.
Plus this change, it takes, for the county each side, it takes each county pass ordinance, carrying that weight. In this case, you have Columbia and Swanee. In your case, you have
Gilbert.
And both counties, unless it's changed recently, both counties must pass an ordinance declaring that section, no weight. And that's in order for it to be enforced by the Philly City Council. It seems to me that, you know, DEP actually do that because they actually own up the mean high water line. It used to claim they own the common water, but they don't. They own the bottom of the river is their property up to the mean high water line. So I don't know why I think they just would have left it to the counties, but I think that's what's required.
You know what, it would seem to me that the biggest problem that everyone's had is that you wanted to jumpstart and say no boats. Well, that actually causes a big fight, and I'm not for that. I think the boats should be able to traverse the river. However, I would think a good argument would be a no wake, and I would think that would be an argument that would be worth presenting to both Columbia and Swanee County Commission, getting some assistance from how to get it written so they can have a rule to operate about it. Is that what you're referring to? Something in that regard? Because there is no wake zone. Those signs are just there. They're telling us they're not.
Yes.
Okay, so where's that?
They got 2 signs.
No, I know the signs are there, but what law governs those signs? Okay, but what about behind my house, running up and down the river? Is that no way? No, I know the signs are there, but I'm not.
I've seen people getting tickets and seeing riding and pulling over in our park.
I'm gonna find out tomorrow exactly. What that's
And there are signs, but they're really not, you can't see them like you think you're.
Okay, I think the question, let me just go forward. I think the question was the signs that are there. If there indeed is no weight, I think that the question might be if the fact that there is a county or state law says that, then if that's the case, do we want to take it upon ourselves to get in the sign business to have some form of regulation to make sure that that's done? And that might be what we need to, because obviously the state's not doing it, or the counties are not doing it. If the county may make those signs for us, but we need to check and verify that. So I don't know. Yeah, John?
Mr. Chairman, we can get a no bid. We've already had the 2 commissioners around here, we just can't get everything on the middle lake.
Yeah.
I've been working with a lady in Tallahassee for 3 years.
Yeah.
Still can't get their signs in the bathroom that says no lake.
Okay.
FWC told me he put me in jail in my neighborhood, we put them signs up on our property. I said,
First of all,
so therefore, and secondly, for no lake on the river, it has to be 16 foot. Or 17 too, excuse me.
Let's down.
that's river height.
That's river height. River comes up and I always.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's kill that argument. We're going to go find out exactly what it is, where the rule is, and what the rule is, and then we can go forward from there. I think. Unfortunately, yeah.
But Mr. Chairman, I was willing to have lots of information is filled out as, she's got to think and tell where the signs are supposed to be.
She's probably sent you lines too.
Yeah. You think she's a good resource.
I didn't notice, also,
Probably watching tonight too.
I didn't notice when people park the back up here and going over in the gates. there'll be more trash out for the department again.
I just put the fence back up here.
I know, but they walk down past it, I think, all over the garbage, and
You talking about on the highway?
Yes, sir.
That's been an ongoing problem. I think if we begin to step up more than we do and we get better at what we do, I think we can work to take that on a little easier. Because it is a DOT issue, and you've also got Duke Energy is an issue.
I'm not, there's not, I'm showing y'all, there's a little sign that we have, we used to put out on the windshield that says y'all can park in the county veto. They're in the clubhouse in the, store in the file cabinet bottom.
I think the rocks up here to stop it, but
Those are important things, and I think we can get there, just we got a lot of work to do. But not good. Yes, sir, James.
Well, we're going to question to the Florida Department of Transportation is you go to the website and sign in, and there are complaints going about the same issue. Was one neighbor that said kids got jumping off the bridge. And so it's more and more members. I called
Duke Energy today on that complaint, so I'm going to handle that one. So, okay, so that's the reason I want to. We're finishing up. There's one more thing on new business. Anybody else have anything on new business? And I just want to say this. When Joan got up, I went outside with Joan, and she was getting busy and a little bit sick. I asked her if she needed some help, and she said, I can't. I'm just too sick. I got dog issues. So I wanted to make sure she could get her dog to the car, so we let her take it home. She didn't want any help. So she got in her car, she went home. So I wanted to say something about that so that you understand that's the reason I was outside. However, I don't want to pick on Joan, but at some point something needs to stop we have a board member that is out soliciting through social media that members need to get together and sue this board. At some point, I don't know what protocol is or what's proper or what's right, but just be able to slanderously go out, and John and I would do that if you I've said this, I had this on the agenda to discuss, but at some point, it's not acceptable, and I don't think this board needs to tolerate this. I don't know what actions we can take, Mr. Parliamentarian, but at some point, either you're on the board or you're not, but to go out and suggest and give no specific legal reason why people need to do this and create such distrust within the community with service, it's not acceptable. And I don't know if this board wants to do it, I can handle it myself, but we're tired of it, and we went through this back in November, working through the first few months to try to get stable so that we could operate as a board in the community to do what's best for our community. We got them there, but it's continuing on and on. So, I don't know what you can do, maybe life sparkler or something, I don't know, but it's not acceptable, and I don't know how we can address this other than just continue to do the same work we're doing. We have to maybe ignore it, but it's not good. Yes, sir.
You guys maybe sit down at the board together and talk to her about her issues and what her issues are.
Yeah,
That might be a start.
well, let me explain. I've done that, met with her, shown her whatever information she needs. This is not going to be a Joan and board attack, and I just want to make you understand that all the work that we're doing, when individuals that are supposed to be serving the community in the aspect of trying to make it better and volunteering their time, do what they do, and go out and do the work that they do, we've got a lot of folks that really go way beyond the call of duty. This is not easy business. It pays terrible. So at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to tolerate this, but we're going to have to. But I just want to make you all aware. I don't even look at that stuff, but I have friends that bring it to me and show me this. So, yes.
I would just like to say that, to me, being on the board is a privilege, and it's an honor to serve my community. But at any point, I feel like that I can't support this board and the decisions that you're making, and you're going in the wrong direction, I will resign my position before I will get out on social media and slam TREPO board. I feel that it's totally unacceptable for a board member to get out on social media and slam us when we're all doing the best job that we can do. If they don't want to serve on this board, they need to resign. And I do feel that the board should do something about a board member doing that. I don't think it's acceptable.
Okay. Any other, Mr. Brown?
Sure, I would suggest that we send that to the attorney. Boards, censor people, reprimand, and in some cases, remove. So I don't know what the answer is, but I've been living through this like you for quite a while. I'm tired of it. So I would suggest that when you have someone on the board members trying to get someone to sue the board, it's going to cost members because they have to defend it. And that's creating dissension, divisiveness, and as far as I'm concerned, they're not part of the team. So whatever it takes to stop it, move forward. And I would suggest that maybe that's a question we submit to the attorney.
Okay.
Bottom line, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to thank you so much on this, Mr. Gisco.
Okay. Thank you, John. Bill, you have a question or a comment?
Well, currently laws, the only way to remove a member, but I'm sure it's through the membership. Board may not take any action to remove a member that, for conduct. And the board can't file a certificate about anything. In this case, there's no other way with the membership. But when you're dealing with this board here, you don't have a code of conduct. The law has a very strong feeling about what you do or can't do, what's proper, what's not proper. You already have a code of conduct.
Not defined.
When the board member is really elected, you need to have some kind of instruction. So this is how we conduct business here, and this is the thing that goes on. I care about meetings. I tell people, I want you to scream, holler, cuss me out, whatever you have to do in a meeting to get your point across. When we go out that door, we let them up.
Right.
We don't know about it if you need to fight outside the front line. Get in here.
Good point, thank you.
But you just have to have an understanding, or we have to have a code of conduct for reporting.
can you write that in the bylaws? Have that some code of conduct?
No, we don't want you screaming.
No, we would go and let even gentlemen back in this is the proper thing to do. There's no code of conduct in the board, in the bylaw.
Put it in, put it in.
The board, the minimum policy, the board. They have to go to the bylaws. No, I'm sorry. This is an issue strictly for board members. It doesn't have to be approved by the board.
Say that
It can't be in your bylaws. It has to be in your standing operating procedures, not your bylaws. Your bylaws must, all things in your bylaws must be voted in by the. That's right. By the board. This is the code of conduct that you want to give board. Right, that's in standing operating procedures. Right, that's in standard operating procedures, that is not in bylaws.
So there's some consideration there. So I'll actually reach out to our legal counsel and see if this is something the board would like to do, and see if some way we can bring that before our board. Would that be appropriate, Mr. Parliamentarian? All right, so I guess we're finished with new business. Is there any old business that we need to discuss? I hope not. We do have a question in the back, James.
Remember the board that passed, was it 95 about the alcohol in parks? They did have signs. Is the board going to say, we're going to put signs up and so forth, because a lot of the issues against readers and everybody else is having is due to disorderly intoxication. And you have families that don't want to come down here because they're going to sit there around most people that are,
I thought there was something else about that sentence we talked about loud.
Yeah, 95% we are allowed to have.
Yeah, I think that, it goes back to, the profanity in the behavior. So I think that's the way we're gonna, I don't.
One-on-one situation.
Exactly, thank you, John. So, it's a good point, and we have to continue to keep working on that, so we can clean this up. I don't think we're gonna keep someone from drinking a beer, but it's fine.
It's not like you can't even go down the river. It's not supposed to be in the park.
We're private property, we're allowed to have a PW tent.
Okay, so, is that it?
Yes, sir.
We're adjourned. Hold on. Yeah, okay, what do you got, Jesse?
So I think Joan, a lot of her problems is that the 720 statute was the laws of the whole entire state of Florida, which you guys are bound by, no matter what your bylaws say. You guys are not following. And yes, we have asked for records, she has asked for records, yet you guys have not given her the records she has asked for. You told her you don't have them, or they're gone because Ellen's gone now, or there's lots of different reasons, but they're not your fault. So I'm going to write you said you was also the Joan, you haven't got them.
Is that what you're saying? Okay, right. So anyway, is there anything else? We're adjourned, thank you.
Thank you.